But then I also know the eye's not on me. The investigators don't see me as part of the disappearance.
How do you know that?
Well, when you're going from daily to tapering off every 5 days, I mean, I already gave them everything on my phone.
Now, you may remember in a previous analysis I said you need to get a baseline for these lip flicks. Well, here is another one at 9:10, and take note what he's saying when he does it.
Investigators don't see me as part of the disappearance.
How do you know that?
And unfortunately, they cut away just as he does that, which in a way I think shows you whoever edited this missed that.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
In this analysis, we're going to deal with 5 more red flags. But before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please do hit the thanks button, and let's get started. So, number 1, when did they reveal the results? Daniel Martel says it was really conclusive when he was told he passed the polygraph. And then look at this expression on his face.
When did you find out the result of your test?
Immediately right after.
What did they say to you?
You did a good job, you passed.
And how did that feel?
Good.
And did you feel that there was any further suspicion on you after that point, or was that sort of conclusive?
No, that was really when I seen the turning point for it's starting to taper off with investigators.
And there at 4:40, again, just as they cut away, his mouth sort of changes shape. Now, by his own admission, he was really nervous when he did the polygraph. I'm not sure whether the authorities are allowed to mislead a suspect either way. For example, can they say you passed if you haven't? I mean, in the Morphew case, you can have months and months of the police apparently doing nothing, and then seemingly out of the blue, they're there and he's arrested. So make no mistake, when a crime is committed, when it's unsolved, when it's an open case, it's a game. It's a game of cat and mouse. And there is a strategy afoot. There's a strategy from the mouse to avoid capture, and there's a strategy from the cat to hunt the mouse. In my opinion, the journalist conducting this interview isn't simply doing it on the fly. Call it a hunch, but like Larry King's interview with the Ramseys in 2000, I highly suspect the interviewer got more than a little input from the cops on what sort of questions to ask and in what order. And if you think that this is sort of off the wall, unusual, that is exactly what happened with Amber Fry when the police used her to sort of draw Scott Peterson out, and that ended up being very strong evidence in court. So it does happen. Daniel also does a lip snarl right at this point where he says the suspicion into him is starting to taper off with investigators. Number 2, did Malaya take a polygraph?
Do you know if Malaya has taken one?
I don't know if I can say it, but I will anyway. Yes, she did take one.
Okay, she took one. Do you know the result?
No. RCMP weren't allowed to tell me I asked.
I mean, this is fascinating. He says, I don't know if I can say, but I will say anyway, yes, she took one. Then when he's asked, it's a follow-up question, if he knows the results, he seems genuinely annoyed. So what you can see is going on is he wants to clear his name. Doesn't he want to clear hers? Number 3, why do you think this is getting so much attention?
Why do you think this is getting so much attention?
Well, just the mysterious and nature of everything and how strange everything is.
Again, at this point, he seems to be suppressing a smile, because if you think about it, if the whole world is watching and they can't figure it out, doesn't that mean he has, and I just mean possibly, potentially, doesn't mean he has outsmarted the whole world. He's just that smart. And how does that feel? Number 4, there's a lot more than meets the eye to this case.
There's a lot more that meets the eye with the case.
Is there something that you think the public doesn't know, that you can share, that you want the public to know?
Now, that might be something of a Freudian slip going on here. Do you notice when he's thinking why the case is such a big deal, his eyes lift a little and they move in a way which suggests he is probing his knowledge of events. He's actually going into his actual memories. Unfortunately, the reporter doesn't seize on this, well, not in as direct a way as I think she could have, and simply say, what do you mean? What else is going on? And that brings us to number 5, the kids.
That's a hard one because I don't want to impede the investigation in any way. It is still a missing persons investigation. It hasn't pivoted to any type of criminal investigation. But the kids were seen the day before.
So here Daniel is asked if there's anything he'd like to share that hasn't been shared. And I mean, this is really an opportunity to say, if there's anyone else there that knows anything, please come forward, call this number, please help us. And what's also interesting is he refers to Jack and Lily as the kids. Perhaps a little dissociation going on here. But anyway, he admits indirectly that he'd been online a lot, looking at speculation, specifically dealing with when the kids went missing. And he's adamant they were seen the previous day. Yeah, he doesn't refer to his own experience being with them, but what is proof beyond that? It's strange that he can't talk about the last thing he said to them, the last thing he saw, or even at this late stage, as I say, express an interest in finding them, soliciting help from the public. Thus far, his entire interest is in himself, and himself being seen to be above reproach. Besides that, he still seems incredibly flat, emotionally, and passive. Now, I'm not going to take it further than that, except to mention there was a searcher who basically came forward and engaged with the media and basically said, I think the kids are still in the woods. In other words, contradicting what he said and said we shouldn't give up looking in the woods.
You think they're in the woods?
I have not been told anything to lead me to any other conclusion at this point.
Why can't you find them?
They're small, they'd be hiding. They would have crawled underneath something probably when they got tired. They could have gone further than what we searched.
Now you'll notice this searcher seems to think the kids did wander off, they just wandered further than they've searched. Do you think that that is likely here?
Most of these people, they're all volunteers. They just want to find the kids and bring them home. So they're more than willing to keep coming back and keep searching. Unfortunately, at this point, unless something comes up, we're probably not going to be back. But that being said, somebody could find something that brings us back.
Right now, incredibly, we're at the 7-week mark in this disappearance. At the end of this week, it'll be 8 weeks. At the end of this month, it'll be 8 weeks, 2 months since Lily and Jack disappeared. One wonders if there's going to be a change in that status, or is it going to end up being another Summer Wells situation? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.